All right, everybody. Welcome back to the show, 32 Tots. When there is a trade deadline, you have to get on the night after the close to the deadline and get some reaction. And we're not going to be impulsive here. We're going to go through this systematically. And I'm so glad to have my insider on, Mr. Bulgaria, Simeon. I'm so glad you are here because we are missing our arm dogs. We're missing Luke. We're missing Elijah. They're out celebrating right now with their sledge team as they just won the first game of their tournament against Team Minnesota. So there is us, the two of us, to get the initial reaction. And I'm so glad those guys are out celebrating. That's a policy here at SPF Net. You have to go out and celebrate with the boys after you have a big win, especially against a team from the below the 49th parallel in Team Minnesota. Simeon, are we ready to dive in? Do you want to hit this off with the big trade in the 204?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start off real quick by acknowledging, I got big shoes to fill here.
Oh,
Arm Dog being missing, and Elijah too. Like they both they both got that hockey knowledge, that puck knowledge. So I'm gonna do my best to keep the puck knowledge here. James has got plenty of puck knowledge of his own, so we'll do what we can. But yeah, gotta say, like Arm Dog Luke, he always knows the insider, the rumors, all that.
he is our
Uh,
insider. Yeah.
yeah, so he is another top insider, I have to admit.
Yeah,
But
yeah, from one insider giving his flowers to another insider. That's a good way to start the show, passing it around. And really, we don't have to have all the inside knowledge because it's all done. All the trades have been
yeah,
made, and so now we just get to react, which is kind of a fun part with this puck talk here, with a lot of people moving, a lot of people changing threads. So, especially in the 204 land. I'm going to introduce this one, Simeon, as Luke said it last time. He said he had the Sunday scaries when there was talk that Logan Stanley and the Winnipeg Jets brass were talking about an extension. That's not happening. He's gone.
nope, no, it is not.
And he got paired with fellow D man Luke Shen, and they're both going to what I would call Winnipeg, New York. I mean, Buffalo, New York, and the Buffalo Sabres. Very similar climate, not the most tropical. People don't go to Buffalo for their palm trees, as former GM Kevin Adams said, though current GM Jormo Kilkalainen had to make a quick pivot after Colton Parayko declined his no move clause, which they had in the works to acquire Colton Parayko from the Blues. He he declined his no move. That's in the contract. He can do that. He had a lot of term left, so that would have been a lot of years in Buffalo, and probably for his family, he chose to stay in St. Louis, and you can't fault the guy for that. So they quickly pivot and they trade for Shen and Stanley. Uh, Simeon, do you want to give your initial reaction of how you feel about these two guys leaving the 204 lands before we have the feels of what's coming back?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, you don't people don't go to Buffalo for the tropics, but apparently players are going to be going to Buffalo because that's where games are being won, which is crazy to say when you think about how long the Sabres have been not going to the playoffs. But all of a sudden, they're a contender, they're a buyer, they're trying to pick up players, and it's their first time, so you got to give them credit. They're trying, but yeah, I mean, I'm not mad that they're making some mistakes on their first time because it very much benefits the Jets. They picked up a bunch of duds from our lineup, and that's what I'll call them. Logan Stanley, Luke Shen, just total duds. And what do we get? We get a second round pick. We get a fourth round pick and some great prospect players along the way. Like Yeah, what are the names? I'm just blanking off the top of my head.
No, no, and I'm filling in for Felicia here. So I got the tools going here. So we got Isaac Rosen, who's a
Yes.
winger. He's coming over from playing in Buffalo's farm system, and he's actually been lighting it up. I'll give you a little bit of the stats there. He's got 25 goals in 37 games played in Rochester.
Hmm.
So I like that stat. He's got 25 goals, 37, and he's over a point per game pace in the AHL. And he just actually, Kevin Shoveldayoff confirmed that he's been called up and he's going to be staying with the big club coming over. So that's a big get for some
Yeah.
guys that we've had maybe some issues with. I don't know about you, Simeon, and what your assessment has been of Stanley and Shin, though.
My assessment is that I would take Isaac Rosen for Logan Stanley and Luke Shen together. Just that. Like I would still take that trade. We need the depth on offense. Like we have no depth scoring, and someone who's actually not like 35, like in our top four lines. That'll be great to see. And yeah, getting rid of two defensive liabilities, Stanley and Shen. Now, I if I saw that trade happen, I'd be disappointed because I knew it's a seller's market and I knew people were willing to pay a hefty price. But the return that we got, you cannot complain. Like
I
a
don't think you can be
second
mad about
and a
it.
fourth as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because what we decided to trade for Luke Shen was a second and a fourth. And essentially you got that back, which is kind of nice. Assets out, assets back in for the guy. And yeah, I have a lot of trouble with Luke Shen. He has the character definitely of a playoff competitor. Um, There's just too many miles, too many games on that guy's body. I appreciate what he did in the bit of the run last year, though the Jets being loyal to a fault with him and then signing him, it's quite a relief to move off of that from my assessment. And so you get those picks back for Shen, and then essentially you get Rosen, and then there's another piece in the deal. His name's Jacob Bryson. He's been assessed more as a depth defenseman. He's kind of just replacing almost like what Shen would be in the lineup. And I would just say we have guys that could come up from the Manitoba Moose. They're already coming up. Salamonson and even a guy like Isaac Phillips and Kyle Clegg could fill in just fine. We also have Hanola that's been hanging around and just trying to get into the lineup. So Bryson is just kind of a sixth, seventh kind of piece there. And then you trade out Stanley and you get a guy like Isaac Rosen, who actually I was being being in Felicia's stead here. I had to get on the tools and just doing a little bit of research on the guy. One of his big scouting reports is that he's actually got a lot of speed. And if we could use anything in the 204
Yeah.
lands in our old forward group right now, it would be an increase in some speed. Um, Simeon, any final thoughts on this trade? I'll let you seal this one, and then we'll keep working down the order here because we had one Shen move, and we'll talk about the other next.
Yeah, yeah. Just team fit. Like it fits us perfectly getting a guy like Rosen. We need that on our lineup. We need that speed. We need that depth player. So I could not be more happy with, yeah, we got good value, but on top of that, it was smart how we did it.
Yeah,
Um,
kudos to Chevy, eh?
yeah,
Yeah,
and I would say it's the right kind of move for the Sabres to be making. You want to buy. It's just the guys they bought. We'll see if Stanley keeps scoring at the rate he's been scoring at this year, and if he can learn some better defense, and yeah, maybe that'll work out for them.
Yeah, you wanna take away time and space in the playoffs, I get that, and Stanley definitely achieves that with his frame. I just hope within the structure in Buffalo that, like, I wanna see Buffalo do well, actually. I'm kinda rooting for them.
Hmm.
They haven't had playoff hockey in so long there. It's a passionate fan base. They show up. It's one of those things that I really wanna see them do well, and as much as I didn't love these guys for the Jets, I hope maybe there's, like, a little bit of, uh, come to new life maybe in a playoff run for these 2 guys, and, Logan Stanley actually being from Ontario and playing his junior in Ontario, he's gonna be closer to home, so that probably, probably bodes well for his family coming to watch a little bit easier and, hopefully, yeah, can figure out and continue the success he's had in Buffalo.
Before we
Sometimes,
move on to the Shen trade, sorry, I'll
yeah. No,
finish.
no, no, I appreciate it. We gotta focus on these Shen guys, and then we got actually, like, the big trades. Well, actually, Britton Shen is a pretty big trade, but the biggest one that we'll get to after the fact. It's crazy what's happening in the Central Division right now, but let's focus on, a guy who got traded out of the Central. So we got Braden Shen out from St. Louis to New York. Um, Simeon, what is your thought just initially on that while I pull up the rest of the details here?
Yeah. Well, I remember they gave up a first, which is just thinking about a guy like Shen and how old he is, and like just gut reaction to that, right? Like I did look at the trade a little bit more closely, but my gut reaction was Braden Shen gets a first?
Yeah,
Like he's not the kind of player that you expect first round picks being traded for. Um, I mean, Blues are selling. Like people were expecting Robert Thomas to be traded, and then
yeah,
you're expecting to see some big prospects, big first overall picks, and also, yeah, okay, so it's I think it was the my initial reaction to is the Islanders first, but no, it's I'm pretty sure it's the Colorado Avalanches first,
yeah.
which means
It'll
it's
be a later one because the way the Abs are gonna finish after
yeah,
talking about their trades next, that's gonna be low.
basically a second at that point.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so we could maybe, like, actually chalk that up as a second.
Yeah,
That conditional one where it is Colorado's and how Islanders got that was actually by trading Brock Nelson, and so that's the I love these trade trees. They're some of my favorite things to try and follow, and my brain doesn't always do the best with following it. But the other thing that is involved in the deal that I thought was kinda interesting, I Jonathan Drouin,
yeah,
changed his threads again.
yeah,
Simeon, you're wearing some threads right now, which was his origin story, and he's bounced around a bunch. Whether he
yeah.
can do it in St. Louis, nobody knows, but, he's a part of the package to get Shen, so that'll be something to see, and then there's also a 3rd round pick in there,
Yep.
so that's a few pieces.
Yeah, and like Druin, I wasn't a big fan of him in Tampa. I've never been a big fan of him, but he's got some value. Like he's not just a complete throwaway either. If,
No,
there's
it's
lots of value on the side going to the Blues, and Islanders are not getting a whole lot back. He's a solid player that you could throw on a second line maybe, but
yeah, I don't
yeah,
even see him as a second line center on a winning team. I feel like
yeah,
like, we're talking about, like, a cup winner if they're actually going with this. Uh, I think he's a 3rd line kinda guy.
yeah,
Uh, Chalk him up with what we got in the 204 here, like an Adam Lowry type, like, bit slower, a lot of age, a lot of games on the body, and you know what, he's been there and he's played those big games, so he's got that experience to bring for maybe guys like Barzell and company to show a way perhaps. Though that's a lot of that's a fair amount of assets going out the door. But New York, like, you're in it with your generational player with Schaefer right now. Like, the fan base is buzzing and seeing what Matthew Darsh is doing for them. I'm kind of excited to watch some different kind of playoff hockey from the Islanders versus what they had with Barry Trotz and just the stalemate kind of situation that they got into in prior runs to the conference finals. So
Although one more knock on the Islanders here, Schaefer is only getting better. You know,
yeah,
3 years down the line, he's just going to be on a whole other level, and that's kind of where your real window begins as the Islanders, I think. When you
yeah,
got a guy like Schaefer, who's among the league's best, who can carry a team on his own, um, then then that's when you want the guys. And by then, Shen is just going to be so much worse, you know?
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of one of these things, like, if I were to think about it philosophically, you want your guys like Schaefer and maybe some of your younger guys to learn the playoff way. You want them to get that experience, and because Schaefer is a generational player, I don't think he's, um pardon me, I think he's done just as much as Crosby did for the Penguins. I know that's quite maybe a hot tot, though the way that that franchise is turned around almost overnight and in a year,
Hmm.
I like what the GM is doing, rewarding the team and also being able to show some faith. And I'm sure that'll give them a little bit of jump going into the playoffs. And are they going to win the Stanley Cup? Probably not. But the fact that they get those playoff meaningful games under their belt already, and especially for a guy like Schaefer, I don't I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I understand the philosophy behind it, though. Is this to get you over the hump move? Probably not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, the Colorado pick that was involved in that one, so it's almost like the Islanders didn't even trade their own pick. So going from that pick that was traded for Brock Nelson before,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, we're gonna get into this one now, Simeon. Colorado trades back for Nazem Kadri. Uh, so this is what is going back the other way. There's Victor Olofsson. We got Maximilian Curin, who's projected to be more of a depth kind of piece. He's a developmental prospect. He's a check winger in the dub right now. There's a conditional first round pick because of Colorado trading all of their first round picks because they're in it to win it right now. Whether that pick actually gets transferred to Calgary in 2028 is dependent on the other trades that they've made with the Islanders and such. So that pick might even be in 2029, which just seems outrageous right now. And then there's a conditional 2027 second round pick. So not even this draft. Calgary is loading up that those are picks way in the future. And really, I think they're probably honoring Nazem Kadri and giving him another chance to go for a run back in Colorado. Uh, Kind of shows the character of the organization and Craig Conroy. Um, Simeon, I'll throw this over to you. I I don't really want to talk lots about this central team, but we have to do it. So, what's the thoughts of Colorado?
Yeah, I mean, this trade is very interesting. I think it's a win-win trade. Um, it's definitely not the landslide victory like the Blues had over the Islanders with that Shen trade. I think here Kadri on the Avs is a nice add. Uh, he's still got it. He's still a player that can have a serious impact on a team, whether it's on the second or the third line. Uh, I know me and you were talking about this earlier, but you called him a Swiss Army knife player, and I like that. Like, it's very true. Just remembering him on Toronto and the role he played all those years ago when he was on Toronto, and then he switched uh where was it, to the Avs, played a completely different role there,
Yeah.
much more involved in the scoring. Um, and then switched to the Flames, and was
Had to be a top
not
line
as
guy.
he
Yeah.
wasn't putting up the points he was putting on the Avs maybe, but he was still a very impactful guy there. So my point is, Kadri's a great player to have on the team, and probably the most impactful player traded on deadline day.
Yeah.
And that's what you want when you're the Avs. You want the most impactful player. They paid a pretty penny for it. First, a second, and Olafson, all solid assets. But you know, uh,
Yeah.
great for the Avs and the Flames. They actually sold the guy they needed to sell.
Yeah.
So
And
win-win.
I think they did right by him to give him another shot. Calgary is in yeah, they're in their full rebuild now. They're gonna be getting a new rink right away too, and so they'll have a shiny new prospect to dress in that one. Um, Kadri, I know he said like he was in it to for the rebuild and was happy to be a part of that process. Though I think the Flames giving him another chance to go on a playoff run, I think speaks a lot about the character of the organization. And I just love Kadri's game. Like that's a guy you want on your team. I don't like. You would be a guy I would not want to play against. I've said this before. There's the guys that get you to the playoffs and the guys that get you through. He's a guy that gets you through. He is a gamer. He plays such a hard game. And yeah, the Maple Leafs fans, you'll remember how hard of a game he played that it cost him in those playoff runs and eventually got him shipped out of town from Toronto. But then he won his cup in Colorado and oh, down the middle now. If we were to list it, it would be McKinnon, Nelson, or Kadri. You could slot either of those guys as a 2C. Then we got another guy that got traded there. We got Nicholas Waugh from Toronto. He just got shipped there. And that's what you got going down the middle, which is insane. Like, Simeon, do you want a quick reaction to their depth chart? Like, is there anything else to say other than like good luck?
Yeah. I mean, my comments I made last time I was on the podcast stand too. Like everyone was looking fantastic from the Avs at the Olympics, except McKinnon maybe. But
Yeah.
the whole squad is just scary. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were kind of going through some challenges before the Olympic break, and I think if there's any time you want to have some challenges, it's not like you're coasting through the whole season, uh, like the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then getting swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets after being up whatever. Oh, sorry, are
Right.
you wearing a shirt, Simeon? I didn't to do that.
Ugh, it's painful season. Don't bring it up, man.
That's okay.
Ugh,
You got your 2 cups. You're fine. Um, if Luke, was here, he would say COVID cups, and so I'll say that on his behalf. But, yeah, Stanley Cup final. Good. Good, good, good. Um, yeah, going down from, Kadri, another kind of big move with another team that you got connection to being the TBL guy and, the Iser plan that worked for you is, Stevie Y in Detroit trading for Justin Falk. Uh, a good depth defenseman, and also like he's a he. I think we talked about this. He's over half a point a game as a defenseman so far this season, and so that's a pretty big get. Do you want to react to that one, Sim?
yeah, I think this is not a bad ad by the Red Wings. They gave up too much for Falk, in my opinion. First, third, Dmitry Buchelnikov. I can't pronounce that
Yeah,
super well.
yeah, that sounds
And
good.
Justin Hall. Like Justin Hall's a guy that I remember having some impact. Um, but yeah, just overall a first round pick is the real piece that they gave up there, and it's just too much, I think. But I do think as well that Red Wings are a team that is a threat in the playoffs this year. They're going to have a tough time competing with teams like Tampa Bay, admittedly, but it's a very competitive division and they need something to push them to the next level. And I think Justin Falk is a piece that you do want to have on your team. He's a solid defenseman. If you're going to pick up a player, might as well be someone who adds something to your team. And I think that's Justin Falk.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would agree with that, and the way that the Red Wings are stacked up right now, they're chasing, they're chasing the Sabres and the Lightning. The Sabre and the Lightning are tied. Um, you're gonna hear it here first, like, I'm hitching my post to the Sabres wagon right now. They're going all the way past, Tampa Bay, even though they have 2 games in hand. S
But also from this deadline, who do you think comes out better? Sabres picking up
Ooh.
Stanley and Shen or Red
We're
Wings
going
picking up
there.
Paul,
We're going
right?
there. Um, you know what? The Sabres are just on a heater, and do you know what I really actually want to watch? We talked about like the playoff preview before when we had you last on, and it was supposed to be the Detroit Red Wings and the Canadians, and the Canadians had kind of fallen off with some of their goaltending. That was something that this is a little bit of a side quest, but I was
Yeah.
hoping Montreal would do a little bit more to address their goaltending. I really wanted to see them go out and get big game Binner, BGB.
No.
I would have loved to see Binnington in Montreal. Selfishly, I just think like he's such a heated competitor and he would be so good in that market for that team. Uh, though that's a side quest and they decided to hold on to him. Though I would love to see the Lightning and the Red Wings play just selfishly to have the matchup of Stevie Y versus the team that he pretty much built and then just handed over the reins to Breezewell. Um, come on, Simeon, you wanna see that? Don't you wanna see that?
I would. Yeah, absolutely. I I love Stevie Y and his contributions to the team. He there's a lot of revisionist history going on these days because Red Wings took so long to get back into the playoffs.
Yeah,
And I don't want to jinx them, they're not safe yet, but they're looking like a pretty solid team now. And but yeah, because they took so long to get back into the playoffs and, Stevie Y, he did make some bad moves. I'll acknowledge those. Um, but like on the Lightning, man, he picked up some great guys in the draft, like some of the best draft selections of all time
yeah, there's
were
some
Stevie
really
Y.
there's some really good scouts within that organization. The names are slipping me right now, but the guys that were on that Tampa Bay scouting staff and who they were able to scout and acquire, like, kudos to the organization. Those aren't my colors, and I don't like what they did in the early 2000s, but that's for the 32 Tot Time Machine, which just got dropped this past week. So stay tuned. And for you audio listeners, I, I'm just pointing up on my bookshelf. That's actually H.G. Wells' Time Machine. So there's a little selfish plug for something that's coming up on the network. Um, let's get back to the list. We had a
Yeah.
little bit of fun side quest, if that's all
Yeah.
right, Simeon. Let's get back to I'm gonna pull up my notes here. So we talked about Falk. I agree. I think if Stevie Y wants playoff hockey, you may as well trade something. You have a lot of depth. You have a lot of players that you picked. I think a first round pick at this point, that's going to be a middle tier if you don't make the playoffs. Doesn't really service your organization at all moving forward. I think getting in the playoffs is probably the biggest thing for him right now. So it's yeah, they're not in yet, but they're well ahead of the teams that the lowest that are chasing them is like the Bruins, which are 4 points back, and just seems like it's really hard to jump and leapfrog somebody 4 points with all the overtime losses that are happening right now. But getting to some of the mid tier guys, kind of talked about the top tier traits. Um, I'm gonna be introducing a couple diggers. Let's just get right into this one, and then I got some other diggers. The Digger Award inspo himself, Warren Fogle, is moved from LA. He's a digger. He's not meant for Hollywood. He wasn't doing it. You know what? Like, the whole team really isn't doing it offensively. So yeah, Warren Fogle, he's digging all he can in the corners, but that's not servicing him at all. His stats are going to get boosted going to Ottawa. I love this move for Ottawa. Not only with his like deep runs that he's been on, but I've also heavily invested in my fantasy team in the Ottawa Senators. And I want to see him pop off. And the Senators are 4 points back, which is pretty tough. Do I believe in the Boston Bruins right now? I don't know. I know we had no bias aside, they would it would be Bruins in four against the Tampa Bay Lightning, but Tampa Bay now is probably going to play Red Wings. So, Simeon, uh, we got to talk about the Fogle.
Yeah. I I also think though, I'm a big Fogel guy. I think he's great digger just like everyone else. But I will say like for a guy that the Kings were healthy scratching to get a second round pick,
Yeah.
the Kings have to be pretty happy about that too.
Yeah, definitely have to. And I don't know the conditions on these swaps of third round picks. I wonder if that's just a repositioning. Uh, so it's Fogel in a third round uh for the Sens, and then for the Kings, it's a second round and a conditional third round. So it's essentially a third round swap, and then it's a second for Fogel, like you said. So I think the Kings have to be happy with that asset management, and the Kings, they just didn't know how to use the digger. And the Sens, you'll figure it out. He's coming back north. And just like he did in Edmonton, he could dig it his way all the way to Stanley Cup final. We don't know yet. But that's a fun one for us on the show here. Um, from Fogel as a digger to we're gonna get into a digger D, I think. Uh Former 204 lands, alum, and part of a Buffalo trade. There's a big Buffalo flavor right now where we got him in a Buffalo trade. Tyler Myers off from Vancouver Canucks to Dallas Stars. What do you feel about that one, Simeon?
Uh, it was with the second and the fourth. Yeah, right. Okay. 2027 second round pick and a 2029 fourth round pick going to the Canucks for Tyler Myers. I mean, man, it's just a seller's market, I think. I don't think every year is a year where you'll be able to fetch a second round pick for Tyler Myers. But this year, that's what the Canucks got, and I think they're happy about it. Vancouver is retaining 50% of the contract this season and next. So that's good for the Stars,
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
you
Stars
need
don't.
guys that don't take up a lot of cap so you can squeeze more out of that roster and that limited salary cap.
Yeah, even with it going up, they gotta re-sign Robertson if they so desire. That's a big scorer. I would not understand the Stars letting that guy walk. How are you gonna replace that guy? Especially because Sagan can't stay healthy. But yeah, I think it's good. It really seems, Simeon, like as I kind of go through this, there's a real pattern emerging with just defense in general. Like Shen for a second round pick, Myers for a second round pick. Uh, the only guys that really fetched the firsts were like we already covered with Falk, and the other guy that I kind of wanted to get to that I like is a sneaky move. I know we're kind of moving off Myers pretty quickly here, but we got quite the list here.
Yeah.
Is the Washington Capitals trading John Carlson to the Ducks? Uh, I
Yeah.
really I really like this move for the Ducks. How about you, Simeon?
Well, okay, so if Kadri is the most impactful trade of the deadline, I would say the Carlson trade is the biggest name player traded at the deadline. Yeah, Carlson's not in his prime anymore, but he's still a really solid guy. Like he's putting up really good points this year. I'd have to check the numbers and exactly what they are, but we've noticed him in fantasy this year, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah, yeah,
He's making an impact. And actually, I saw a quote from Ovi just, was it today, I think, where he said it's the saddest day of his NHL career.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
losing a guy like Carlson, who's the best defenseman in Capitals history.
yeah,
Unreal.
yeah. He's played 17 years. I believe it was in and around that point. That's a that's a long time. I feel like I was just not that long ago, and not to take you in a quick time machine travel, that John Carlson was breaking the hearts of World Junior Hockey Canadian fans when he scored an overtime goal in or maybe it was a shootout goal in Saskatchewan when the World Juniors were there. Doesn't seem like that long ago, and he's already carved out like a historic career and definitely a top American born defenseman in what he's done in Washington. And now to see him flip coasts to go from Washington now to the on the Atlantic seaboard to the Pacific seaboard in Anaheim, it will be interesting where Carlson and now the Trouba train are two older American defensemen, potentially seeing them maybe together because Trouba is the Trouba defensive train and John Carlson is a little bit more of the driver offensive train. I I would love to tune in to see how now John Quenneville deploys his lineup because he's also got Lacombe back there and he's got the Russian name is escaping me, but Anaheim now with their young blood, with some of the guys that they've moved in, and getting it now a guy like John Carlson, who is also a winner, winning with the Washington Capitals. It's going to be exciting to watch Ducks hockey and playoff hockey again, and with those bright Orange County threads that they got, it's going to be buzzing in the pond in Anaheim, as they used to call it. Um, any final thoughts on Carlson, Sim?
Um, I also just think that like the value is fair. Like a
Yeah,
first and a third for Carlson. The only thing I'll say is the Ducks are basically committing, okay, we're gonna be good. Like
yeah,
they've been good this year, but they gotta stay good because now their first is gone.
yeah,
And that first, you know, Anaheim has a rough stretch towards the end of the season here. That first could suddenly be um, you know, 15th, 16th overall, like it could be still a quite decent first. The condition on the pick is that it could be either 2026 or 2027. So maybe and it's
yeah,
under the discretion of the Ducks. So as long the Ducks just need to be good for one of those 2 years, but this is them saying we're committing to to make playoff runs now. We're
yeah. I'm just
committing to
on the
actually
tools
be good
here.
this year.
Not to cut you off, but Anaheim is 1 point behind the Golden Knights for first in the Pacific, and the Oilers with their goaltending inconsistency, and they didn't even try to readdress that in the deadline here. Um, I had I had heard on the Daily Face Off podcast network with the rundown with Jason Greger. He had brought up with one of the alum of the big network, Rogers Merrick. They were talking, and the Vegas Golden Knights have not beat a playoff team since November. Um, that was something that blew my mind when I heard it, so I need to give those guys their flowers in their talk because Vegas Golden Knights now 1 point only ahead of the Ducks, and they just put, uh, Mr. broken back Mark broken back stone on LTIR, and you can't use that money anymore because they changed that in the CBA. They literally made a Mark Stone rule now, and they actually made it enforceable this year rather than next year, for those of you catching you up on the CBA negotiations. But Simeon, I think the Anaheim Ducks have kind of seen a lane, and Pat Verbeek, the GM, probably sees a path to him getting first in the Pacific now. If he didn't
Yeah.
know all those underlying numbers, I'm sure he did. We're just guys on a puck talk channel. He's probably got more under the hood. There's a path for the Ducks getting a banner in the pond. What do you think of that?
Yeah, and I think that that context, I mean, I knew the Ducks were good this year, but it's with all that context in mind, I don't think the Ducks are worried about losing the first pick.
No.
Like that just with the state of the Pacific is being part of it, but the other part of it just like the Ducks are a solid team. Like they've got some really good young guys right now that are putting up a clinic. Like Seneke right now is in the Calder race. Like
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't
they're a
I don't
threat.
think anybody's taking it from Schaefer, but the way that Beckett Seneca is
Right.
having a career year, I would know he's on my FBHL team. Uh, that is one of the bright spots for it. But then you got Leo Carlson, Cutter Goche, Mason McTavish is no guy to sleep on. That guy is a guy who gets you through in the playoffs. That guy's a big time gamer and wore the
Yeah.
C for the World Junior squad. They just have a lot of excitement in Anaheim, and between like Anaheim and San Jose Sharks now becoming relevant again in California, like the battles of California that are going to be coming up between those two, I'm really looking
Yeah.
forward to it quite a bit. Um, San Jose didn't make any other really big moves. They had kind of made their one with Sherwood before, and they actually locked him up to a 5-year deal, and not a bad price point, I would say. It was just over 28 times 5. And so Sharks are not that far behind either. I'm just pulling up the tools here again, and they're 3 points behind the Kraken for the final wild card spot. And then you got the Kings that I think they're in tough with, even though they got the bread man Panarin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Another team that made a very interesting move. I really want to talk about this one before you're gonna talk about your threads that you're wearing and who you love that's coming back to the state of Florida. Though I want to talk about the Mackenzie Weegar trade from the Flames to the Utah Mammoth. Uh, Simeon, you had kind of said it best in kind of what when we were doing a bit of a rundown show notes. The return for the Flames shocked you a bit.
Yeah. Well, because this was early on in this trade deadline, and it's just so many picks given up for a good guy. Like Uyghur's solid, but again, it's just you don't expect to see so much draft capital for for players like that. Um,
Yeah, that's
and
two 2026 second round picks and then a 20 oh, pardon me, sorry. That's three 2026
yeah,
second round picks.
it's it's a lot, right? And Uyghur's good, but he's not a true number one D man on any team, right? So,
No, he's probably a
uh,
3-4. Yeah.
yeah. So it's not he's not elite by any means, and yeah, and it's the Mammoth are trading for a guy who's pretty uh yeah, he's on the older side, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, he's not
they're
he's not a young buck anymore
yeah,
when he was wheeling and dealing in Florida and he got a part of that package to get Matt Kachuk. So
right. Exact. Oh man, wow.
yeah,
Forgot
that's the
that.
trade tree on that one.
Yeah,
Uyghur and Huberto to Flames for Kachuk. So that's that's the trade tree that he's coming from. So
yeah,
yeah. No, no. I think I just want to highlight in this. I was talking with a good buddy of mine, Mr. Jetcentric himself, AJ, and he always has these interesting takes when it comes to when you see a window and you are ready to contend, trade all of your picks from second to the seventh round, he said. And I'm just starting to notice, I've done a few more research overviews, and the amount of guys that come out of second, third, and all the way to the seventh, statistically, you know, you might hit on one guy every so often. You really want to nail your first round picks to keep the cupboards and to keep your youth movement coming up in an organization. So this trade has my buddy's name all over it. Like that's how you would make a move if you see a contention window. Right now the Mammoth are 3 points up in the first wild card. And I don't know about you, Simeon, but I would love to see the Mammoth in the playoffs, selfishly, to give that new fan base some playoff uh puck watch, I think would be really good for the league, if I'm just being like completely unbiased. How do you see the Mammoth moving forward? You're kind of more connected with your fantasy, aren't you, buddy?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think the Mammoth, I mean, I was so excited for them at the beginning of this year, and I still am. But you just think about all the guys that they've got on offense right now that are young and getting better like every year. Like Clayton Keller, Gunther, and Cooley, just to name a few off the top of my head there. All players that like have potential to be elite in this league, you know? So, and the back end, it's a bit less exciting. So it's nice having another kind of exciting player on
Come
the
on,
back
you're
end.
not throwing shade on your guy that you got from
Sergachev,
Durant. Come
I
on.
am throwing a little bit of shade on Sergachev. I have him in fantasy, but yeah, I was never that excited about him when he was on the Bolts, and he's fine, but I don't think he's like that top level number one
No.
defenseman that you want out of a
So I think
contender.
you're right in that assessment. He's probably a 3-4. Like I can't remember who he was paired with on those TBL runs, but obviously you have your stud Viking at the top, Mr. Victor Hedman,
Yeah.
and all the other chips kind of fall as they may. But okay,
Speaking of Lightning, though,
you're
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about your selfish. No, not selfish, but you have to talk about him. And being from the 204 lands, we talk about Katie, Corey, Perry. To you, Simeon.
Gotta say, so he went for a 2028 second round pick to the Kings, and they get Corey Perry. Here's and LA's retaining 50% of his salary. Um, so, but who cares about the semantics of the trade? Tampa Bay has Corey Perry back, and he's just a playoff guy. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
every time he's on a team, they make a deep playoff run. They can't close the deal, it seems. There's kind of a curse with him where he makes it to the Stanley Cup final and loses. But he's he wants to win it so bad, I feel like now, like if who's gonna be pushing the hardest in the Stanley Cup final? It's gonna be Corey Perry because he can't stand to lose another one, right?
Yeah, he at his age, and I'll give him the shout out on this one. What he's doing at his age, like guys his senior and around his age have already decided like that's it. Like guys like Ryan Getzlaff, who is his running mate in Anaheim, has been out of the league for a few years already, and Corey Perry is still just trucking and deciding to with the squads that he's been on, going all the way to the Stanley Cup final, multiple runs. It's almost a guarantee that he was going to get a team to the Stanley Cup final. Uh, LA, it didn't work out for you, and then you ship them off, and I don't know. I don't want to see Tampa Bay in a Stanley Cup final. That's been enough in the last 20 years. But I know my insider here, he's got those threads. That's too much. But I think it's a character move for Tampa Bay. That's just what they do with their moves. They've done it before. Uh, they haven't always hit like a Tanner Jeannot was supposed to be more of a big digger, get you through kind of guy, and they gave up a ton in that one. Simeon's just not loving me that I'm bringing this up. You win some, you lose some, and I think in this asset, the like Tampa Bay knows exactly what they're getting, right, Sim?
Yeah. And like it's seller's market. Like a second is a lot to give up for a guy who's gonna
Yeah,
be around for a year, maybe two, if we're lucky, right?
yeah,
Um, and he's not gonna be leading the team in scoring in the postseason or anything like that. He's a depth piece too. But I think it's what the Lightning need. It's that extra little bit of grit. It's that extra little bit
yeah,
of talent that'll push them far in the playoffs. So I think it's a good trade for them.
yeah.
Uh, I do actually have one more trade, one sneaky little trade I want to highlight
You're
here.
not gonna steal my Connor Garland, are you?
No, 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 no. No,
Okay,
don't worry
you
about
can
that.
go, and then I'm
Okay,
gonna pump Connor Garland's tires. So
okay. So to preface this, I'm a Nashville Predators fan these days because they took Steven Stamkos, and wherever Stamkos goes, that's where I like to support. So it's been interesting to watch how Barry Trotz has just made bad decision after bad decision as the Preds GM.
oh, tough
And
look, eh? Oh,
he's done, he's saying he's gonna quit as GM, but
stepping down, not
he's
quitting.
right, stepping down, my bad. But this trade deadline, he still had to do a little bit of extra damage because, the Preds were supposed to be sellers. So he's like, okay, fine, I'll do some selling. Um, Michael Bunting for a third round pick is the one I want to highlight because Michael Bunting is better than a lot of the guys that we've mentioned. Like I I don't
Yeah,
know. I feel like I'd rather have Bunting than Brendan Shen.
yeah. Bunting's a gamer. I uh, I'm remembering him from Toronto, and he was kind of running mates with some of the big dogs. And then all of a sudden they ship him, and he goes to be with his former GM, and he was in Pittsburgh there with Dubas for a bit, running alongside some of the topper talent up there, and then gets traded and goes to Nashville. He's kind of been a bit of a suitcase, but I think like there's something to that where the reason why he's getting shipped around is because there's value there, and that's a good pull, Simeon. I kind of
Yeah.
forgot about that one, but I like that bunting move.
And the Bunting for a third, like on another year, I would be like, I feel like you could have gotten a little bit more for it as Nashville, but not that bad. It's not terrible trade value, but it's so clearly a seller's market this year. Like teams are throwing out firsts left, right, and center. And the best Barry Trotz could get for Michael Bunting to a team that is like desperate for more players, the Stars trying to make a deep playoff push in a
Yeah,
division where they're up against the Avs and the Minnesota Wild.
yeah. And what the Avs did, right?
All the leverage in the world for the Preds, and they get a third round pick. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna keep with your flavor, and I'm gonna do it just one more. I'm actually more surprised that Nashville got a second for Michael McCarron versus what they got from Dallas for Bunting.
right,
Like
exactly.
McCarron, he's more of a grinder type guy, and yeah, can he put the puck in the net sometimes? But the fact that Bunting only got a third and then McCarron a second,
Yeah,
eh, whatever. They got a second and a third, and Nashville is clearly gonna have to be restocking the cupboards now with shipping out some of their guys.
yeah.
I wonder in the offseason if they do a little bit more. But I wanted to get back to a little bit of 204 connection because I was pulling up in the standings and I wrote about it in the blog a while ago, and forgive anybody who's missing that I'm in report card season. So I am full writing with that right now. I can't do my side piece, but the Columbus Blue Jackets are 72 points. Boston Bruins are 73. The way that Rick Bonus has brought back the Columbus Blue Jackets from the bottom and the barrel into the fight after, like, a heart and soul season last year in memory of Johnny. Uh, it's quite impressive. I saw this one article, who is doing 71 better, Macklin Celebrini or Rick Bonus? What he's doing at his age and how he's brought that team back from the basement, uh, just shows you the kinda coach that he is. Kinda makes me, like, there's a bit of a heartthrob being here in the 204 lands and what he was able to do for the Jets after a couple tough years after the transition from the Pomo debacle, let's call it, where he didn't even get fired, he just got to walk away free, but, that's a side quest. The Columbus Blue Jackets, they're right in the hunt, and to get a guy like Connor Garland from Vancouver Canucks for a second and a third, and for the amount of term that he has left at a good ticket,
Yeah,
this is the one where this is a move, like, if the Jets were in contention, I would have loved to see Chevy do. They're not in it. They're gonna be golfing, and that's why I'm wearing a nice golf hat today. It's for the Blue Jackets to get Connor Garland, who's also like a gamer. He's a guy that's going to be really working hard in the playoffs. And I just love his game, how it transitions up and down the lineup. He can play with skill and he can also play grit, and works hard in the corners. And he's not the biggest guy. I think he's actually sub 6 feet or right around there, if memory serves me right. I just wanted to throw some respect on Connor Garland and uh, and the Columbus Blue Jackets brass there for that one, because I think that keeps them in the fight with it because they're neck and neck with games played and 1 point off of Boston. So it's going to be really interesting now going into the final stretch now, Simeon. So who do you think, like, from the teams that we've kind of mentioned? We mentioned a lot of the players, but who do you think a team or two that is really in a better contending position after, the deadline today?
I do think Garland was a great pickup, by the way. I'll agree with that. And I think Blue Jackets are more in a contending position, or not so much in a cup contending position, but yeah, I like that could be what puts them over the edge with the Bruins. But when it comes to like cup contending, I mean the big one to me is the Avs just
Yeah,
picking up
have to say it.
Kadri and Wah, right? Like their center depth best in the league now. But other than that, it's I think the Red Wings made a couple of moves. Um, I think most notably, obviously, was Falk. Um, and that they got like a couple pieces that make them stronger. Um, if we're willing to look a little bit further back than just right at the trade deadline,
Yeah,
there's an obvious one, and
yeah,
that's
say it.
Minnesota Wild.
Yeah. Yeah, you have
And if you're picking a winner over the all the trades this year, it's got to be the Wild just because of Quinn Hughes.
yeah, and what he's done for the team almost overnight, it's if you look at the trade package that went for Hughes, it was technically, 4 first-round picks. There was the 3 guys that they actually picked that they packaged it all together, and then the first rounder. Um, it still is a slam dunk deal, and, I'm glad that you said that. I think that was kind of the catalyst to Minnesota doing a lot of, like, other moves. Another guy that I didn't really get to, that's a digger that I'm really, looking forward to joining his brother. We got the Foligno brothers that are now joined together in Minnesota. uh, Nick moving over from Chicago in kind of a pick for player situation. Um, so yeah, definitely, I think you have to put Minnesota up there. Oh, that Minnesota and Colorado series, I feel like that's one that's destined to happen. Um, I'm picking Minnesota over Dallas. I just don't think with even what Dallas did that my heart's in Minnesota for what's been going on. Though the one that on the Pacific side that I kind of mentioned before, I think the Ducks are in a really good spot with the John Carlson move and with what they got going on. They've had a couple other kind of around the edges kind of stuff, but they have their core. I think the Ducks are in a prime move to go to the top in the Pacific. And not to steal one of your teams that you like following because of your fantasy boys in our league, Simeon. But I also like what the Mammoth did too. I think the Mammoth are in a good spot to get in with probably in that wild card scenario. The top three in the Central are just pretty much on lockdown with Colorado, Minnesota, and Dallas. But that would that would be my big two. Would be the Ducks and the Mammoth, and for me, those are two franchises that I would love to see in the playoffs just for some new flavor from what has kind of been, well, if we can't have our boys from the 204, may as well have something else that kind of looks similar. And the Mammoth got very similar color scheme threads, so I'm not mad about it. Um,
Yeah,
any kind of final thoughts for you, Simeon, to kind of wrap up trade deadline day reaction? This has been really fun.
it has been. Yeah. Uh, you know, as we're wrapping everything up, I think one more theme that's um, been prevalent this trade deadline is Doug Armstrong knows what he's doing as a seller at the trade
Yeah.
deadline because boy did he get some good packages in return for players, and he didn't even have to give up Rob Thomas. You know,
Yeah,
he
I
got
would have been so
several
interested.
firsts.
Yeah, I'll let you finish.
Yeah, just several firsts and other picks. But yeah, what did you want to say?
Well, I would have been so interested for what a package for Robert Thomas would have been now in like retrospect of what we've seen Armstrong
Oh,
swindle
yeah,
his way a little bit. Because there was talks, and this is maybe some of the side quest stuff of the trades that never happened. There's a book to be written on that, and you would need lots of GM's consent in there, maybe pseudo-names in there, but then you could just figure out who it was. But I would read that book cover to cover. Um, what kind of package would have been for Robert Thomas? Because there was talk between Buffalo and the Blues. And Simeon, I'm gonna connect with you. You're gonna like this. We'll do a little bit of a time machine travel. One of my favorite trade deadline trades that now in retrospect, I kind of love the trades that are the win-wins. And this is gonna be kind of my final thought. Um, it used to be in the day where a GM would define their success by them being able to fleece or swindle or get like try to steal a player from another GM under kind of their nose. And the profession now, like it just doesn't happen anymore. Like you are doing hockey deals. And one of my favorite hockey deals, player for player, goes back to with the Blues run. And when Ryan O'Reilly was traded from Buffalo. And so this would be like kind of, I was excited for the reverse to happen. It didn't happen. But when Ryan O'Reilly was traded to St. Louis, do you remember what St. Louis traded, Simeon?
no,
Tage Thompson.
really,
Tage Thompson was the centerpiece of that deal. There was a pick, I believe, involved in that one. But how about a win-win for that one for
yeah,
both
wow,
franchises, right? Blues were in win now mode, and they needed a center and center depth, and kind of reminiscent of what the Avs are doing with their crazy center depth. And so they go out and get Ryan O'Reilly, who ends up winning the Conn Smythe with them. Buffalo, on the other hand, gets a specimen, a prospect who was a pretty raw. at the time, and is able to develop in their system. And now Tage Thompson, who just like consistently pops off for like 30, 40, and he might even do 50. And I traded him to you and this fantasy league that we have. Though I just wanted to highlight that move a little bit in the time machine. A great win-win situation for
Yeah.
both of those franchises. And yeah, Ryan O'Reilly isn't with the Blues anymore. He's with your alma mater, your side piece, we'll call it, the Nashville Predators. But for the Blues, that was a player that put them over the top. And so it'll be interesting to see on the other end of this who's a player that probably puts their team over the top.
Mm,
Nobody knows yet. But
yeah.
this is this has been fun, Simeon. Thanks for being the insider on trade deadline reaction day. And yeah, I think we did pretty good going two back and forth, even though we're missing our other two. What do
Yeah.
you think?
I thought so too. Yeah, no, we
Yeah,
were able to get through all the trades and I think there was some interesting stuff said.
yeah, and I'm
Lots
sure
of great quotes.
yeah, I'm sure we're gonna hear it from Luke and Felicia. I know I'm gonna hear it from Luke that it went way too soft on the Lightning, but that's fine. That's fine. Sometimes you just gotta be a player's coach, and you gotta just
Even
have fun. And
even when the Lightning are relatively quiet on a deadline, you guys would just have to find a way to rip into. Yeah.
oh yeah, have to. Well, from all of us here at 32 Tots, speaking on behalf of the two who couldn't join us, and for Simeon, who's part of the crew, thanks for joining us on the show today, and hope you enjoyed that deadline coverage. And as always, here on the show, policy is fun. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned.